Welcome aboard the 21.5 Professional Pilots Podcast.
Rock on. You're on 121.5, the emergency frequency.
It's a show by professional pilots for professional pilots.
I looked back at them and I said, I don't think we're at the right airport. And they go, I don't think we are either.
Each episode, we bring you fascinating conversations with industry experts.
I think I should be a go-to on how to deal with 63, 64-year-old men.
You're going to chase it like a dog chasing a school bus.
But we're not just about the serious stuff. We're here to have fun.
And I like to sit with pilots a lot of times. I always say they're better looking than Tom Cruise.
It's a whole thing.
The 21.5 Professional Pilots Podcast is your destination for everything aviation, whether you're cruising in the flight levels or just starting your journey.
Maxwell, hello. What's happening?
Hey now.
Joining you live from a Hilton property, but you can't tell because we're using fancy new green screens.
Mm-hmm. A little retro.
Trust me, it's nice. I selected my own room on the app. Perfectly positioned. I've reached perfect nirvana because I stay at this hotel a fair amount. And it's like just close enough to the elevator where you're not a far walk from the elevator, but you also can't hear it. And then there's also at this hotel, they have like this whole water and ice dispenser. And it's like right out the door too. So it's very convenient.
What? Isn't the ice thing loud?
No, it's not. And it's like a different sort of concept. Like they leave these big glass milk jugs in the room. And then you just like go out and like fill it to get your water and ice and stuff. So
what a concept. Like, how revolutionary.
Filtered water, like right out your door it's just so handy.
It's a future hotel you're staying in?
It's a Canopy. I'm a big fan of the Canopy products.
Who's that? Hilton?
Hilton, yeah.
What is the Canopy? What would you compare the Marriott equivalent?
It's a little bit more boutique-y. I don't know if Marriott has a good comp for this.
Yeah, they do. They have something by Marriott. What are those?
It's got to be
called?
like the Tribute, one? Maybe, or the Tribute or the Autograph collection or something.
Autograph, that's the one. The Autograph collection.
But yeah, it's solid. Highly recommend.
All right.
But that's why. But because you get to pick your room in the app. So I don't know. What's your philosophy? Are you want to be as far from the elevator as possible, or do you get bummed out when you get off the elevator and have to walk like 4 minutes?
I don't really care.
You don't care?
I don't want to be like right next to it.
Yeah,
like that's kind of annoying. Or the ice machine, but I also, at the airlines, we're generally in the back 40 somewhere. Usually a robust walk, it appears. So
yeah,
I don't know.
You don't get the first choice. I got a question for you. Does Southwest, do they typically give you a room with one bed or two beds?
It varies. Typically I would say most often with two, but it varies.
Okay.
We do stay in quite nice hotels though now.
Yeah.
Since our last contract, yeah, it's pretty impressive, honestly.
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that. Glad to hear it. All right. Well, that's our weekly hotel briefing.
That's all we got.
Yeah.
All right.
That's it. Lots to get to today. Sad news. Unfortunately, our AI chatbot, Reginald Sage, had a scheduling conflict today, so I guess he's not going to be joining us.
Reg. He'll be back. Don't worry.
But yeah, he'll be back. He will return. But yeah, so much is new with the show. New backgrounds, new AI host, and a new intro. This was version 2 that we're playing here for today's episode. We were so excited when we launched the episode yesterday, and our first feedback came from Bang Bang on YouTube, and it said, new intro sucks. So
very constructive.
Back to the drawing board. Can
I reply to that and just say tough shit?
Sure. You can do whatever you want. I think you just did.
Yeah. There you go. Bang, bang. Take that.
I love it. Take that. We like it. All right. So we're going to, no guests this week. Too many moving parts. So we're just going to knock out more mailbag, more double flight advice, I guess. It seems like a good trade. And I thought it'd be a good place to start with you telling us about your day today and what you were doing in your garage.
Do the people care, Dylan?
I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know.
So I bought some 31-inch Alaska bush wheels for my airplane.
Yeah.
And Alaska bush wheels are really great except for two things. One, they're very expensive. And two, they wear very quickly on hard surfaces, on pavement.
Right.
So, what's the accepted practice, not by the manufacturer, but by those of us, especially operating experimental? There's all these debates online if you can do this if you're a certified airplane, but is to do this bed liner treatment with Herculiner, which is a type of bed liner.
Like
And
for
you
a
have to
truck
prep
bed
it.
liner, you mean?
Yeah, like bed liner for a truck. And what you do is you mine are brand new, so I sanded them with 80 grit sandpaper to rough them up a little bit, and then you clean them obsessively with xylene, which is a very pungent
I was just going to say, that
solvent.
sounds like it smells incredible.
Yeah, it does. I got a little lightheaded, and so yeah, you scrub, clean them really good, because just like any sort of paint or any coating, it's all in the prep, right?
Yeah.
And so I have them anyway, and so yeah, and then you paint a coat of bed liner on, and then another coat. So, and then that is your wear surface. And people say too that it gives a little grit, for stopping on dirt. It gives
Oh
a little
yeah,
more
there you go.
too, when you're hammering the brakes.
Are you going to sprinkle some of the little sprinkles you do for an epoxy floor on there just for a little extra?
No, it's got enough texture.
Okay,
I think.
all right.
And then, so yeah. So I'm getting ready to I'm going to haul them to the airport, put them back on the plane, jack it back up, and then put the second coat on, and then leave it in the hangar on jacks, and go to work tomorrow for 3 days and let it cure.
Unbelievable.
Just riveting here.
Where do you even? Yeah, that's amazing. All right, good. Mm-hmm. Well, glad to hear that you didn't sit around twiddling your thumbs today.
No, amongst many other things. We'll skip.
Good. Well, I'm happy to report. It's funny. So last episode we were talking about me scraping residue off my tires. This episode we're talking about you putting stuff on your tires.
I'm applying residue to my tires.
Yeah, it's a real head scratcher. What's going on out there? But yeah, I'm happy to report my trip this week. No goo on the tires and no cicadas in Nashville yet.
Thank God. Are you in Nashville right now?
I was earlier in the week, and I was starting to get news reports of the latest cicada brood. Yeah, I actually downloaded a cicada brood map. Remember we published that last year? It was this whole thing.
That's right.
And then news reports like these guys are even worse than last year, and I'm like, oh no, I can't go through this again. So fortunately, they weren't there yet. So that's. But definitely call and verify that one before you head in there. All right. What else do we have to get to today? I should. Yeah. Did I send it to? No, I sent it to the guy I fly with. I was like, hey, I'm trying to remember the dangerous strain here. It's the brood. They're all like numbered. Let's see. So Tennessee, it's the green. Brood XIV. So would that be 24?
Who cares?
Yeah, 14 maybe. Anyways, everyone has tuned out on this episode. Right? Like, what are we talking about? Hotels, tire coating, and cicadas. Let's talk about some flying for a minute. You had a really good experience last week doing a little diversion. Kind of a little last minute diversion. We were going to talk about it last episode, but we ran out of time. So just curious. I don't know what takeaways you have, or maybe something to share for our listeners that might be good to start thinking about here as we get more bad weather, summertime, and also air traffic control problems, which could cause a diversion.
Oh, it was just one of those times when the weather built into thunderstorms like more rapidly and more severely than it was forecast to.
Yeah.
And so we were just coming back. Fortunately, we did not have passengers on board, and yeah, it shut down all of the northern arrivals, and they uplink us this massive reroute, like all the way to the east and like past the whole city of Phoenix and like in through the south. And I'm like, oh boy, I don't know if we have the gas for this. And I plug it all in, and I'm like, yeah, it'll be. And we had the gas to do it if everything worked out. But the way things were going, I'm like, no way, dude. So Yeah, so we bailed, went to this small, uncontrolled, field called Winslow, which geographically was perfect. The gas was cheap, and it was, in front of us far enough we could get down and get in, and that was it. And then we sat there and then had a flow time, and we waited. We watched the recap of the Formula One race in the cabin while we were waiting for our edict time. I sent a video of that. Did the Khaleesi post that yet?
I don't think it's yet. It'll be perfect.
Now you'll know the backstory if you see that on the Instagram. But yeah, and then we took off and flew back, and it was no big deal.
It is. It's no big deal, and it's one of those things that it's kind of like a go. I kind of feel those as similar to a go around, where it's like, oh, we really don't want to do this. We want to avoid this if we can, and then you actually do it, and you're like, this is not a big deal. Why do I have this stupid stigma in my head?
If you ever, my rule is always like, if I ever question the gas, there's your sign.
Yeah.
Like, just go land, get some gas. Like, it's not the big. Even if we had passengers, nothing would have been different. And and I'm fortunate that I fly for people that are really cool and would just be like, oh, cool, all right, yeah, no worries. They're super laid back, which not everybody is as lucky. But yeah, what could we have done? We could have. We fueled round trip because we were just going to California. So from our gas is very cheap at our home base.
Right.
So you're always kind of hesitant to buy more gas when you already have enough gas to go there and back. And so it's one of those things that,
it's just going to happen.
We looked at it. We should be good. We should have enough gas. But yeah, sometimes things happen. That's why we remain flexible.
Exactly. It is a good, I remember the diversion I was so worried about was when I was a junior captain at American Eagle, and we would go in and out of Chicago, and so you'd always be like stressing because when Chicago would shut down, a lot of the airplanes would have to bail out, and so it was like you had to sort of know like what your bailout airport was as you're like going towards the city, and there's like different quadrants, depending on from what direction you're coming to. And at the airlines, it's a lot more of a difficult decision because you have to decide, like, wait a minute, is where I'm going to be an outstation? Like, will the company be able to fuel me? Like, will there be a gate? Like, there's just so many more things that you have to think about at the airlines versus corporate's just so easy. Like,
I remember that. And it was kind of like, I feel like at Eagle too, it was like just kind of the captain's call. They just kind of went wherever.
Yeah.
Where now they have like these diversion plans when they know like there's going to be a problem.
Oh, do they?
Like they kind of say, hey, look, if you're going to divert, like here's where we want you to go. That way, not one station gets overwhelmed and there's no gates and all the other logistics. But yeah, in business aviation, it's fun. Yeah, you just kind of look at the map.
Like, okay, we'll go here.
Pull up the CAA map and
exactly.
See what
if you don't know what the CAA map is, then you're not a real Part 91 pilot.
Right.
Yeah, I remember one time in Dallas, they closed DFW, and then the dispatcher was so overwhelmed because, what do you got? Probably 50 flights all coming at the same time, and everyone wants to divert somewhere. We couldn't get a hold of anybody. ACARs, there's no way to get a hold of the dispatcher, so we just had to just pick an airport and just go to it. And, there's airplanes just showing up right and left, and it's just a fiasco. And I think that scarred me a couple times, and then I was always like really on edge. But yeah, I want to talk about another diversion issue that we're seeing right now, and that is: are you following what's going on in the Northeast right now at all with this air traffic control meltdown with the controller shortage?
Yeah, well, I mean, I haven't been following it closely because.
Fortunately, you don't.
I love that. As I go to the Northeast tomorrow night, Baltimore
might not be too bad, but it's
if I was really well versed, Dylan, what was going on in the Northeast with the air traffic control situation, I would have been on Fox and Friends as the talking head.
Tell that story while I pull up this thing I want to read to you.
Well, we got an email from someone at Fox and Friends. It's like, hello, would Pilot Max be available to appear on the leading news show Fox and Friends at 4:30 a.m. Eastern time? I'm like, 1:30 in the morning. How about
Well, that must be why they got down to our show is the time zone must have been a problem. So they're like, who can we call?
Like, they want me to sit there and talk about the air traffic control problems in Newark specifically. I'm like, dude, I haven't landed in Newark in like years.
The podcast or the news producer for Fox and Friends goes, I think there's a top 40 aviation podcast I could get.
Yeah.
Try and get this guy.
I think one of them is an airline pilot.
It's just hopefully. No, so what I was going to tell you, so Teterboro has been, ground to a halt for several days. And then they're saying, so a lot of people are going to White Plains now. And this guy online on Pro Pilot World said they landed at White Plains and it took 2 hours from touchdown to blocking in and being able to let their passengers off the plane because there was just nowhere to park. And they couldn't even get a car out to the airplane to unload the passengers or anything. And apparently White Plains is now going to close one of their runways so the airplanes can park on that runway. So
no way.
Good times. Yeah. So
God, there's not enough reliever airports to deal with like Morristown.
Well, I think the problem is that Morristown's affected too. I think White Plains is in a different sector. I don't know. I'm blessed to not have to fly to the Northeast a ton, but yeah, when I saw that, you imagine landing and then for 2 hours just sitting on the ground, just being like, "Sorry, we don't know what to tell you."
Yeah, especially when you don't have a cockpit door.
So, any other adventures to share out there?
I don't think so. Nothing too earth shattering. Preparing myself for a rare PM trip tomorrow.
Oh boy,
trying to get my mind right.
Oh boy.
Well, it's funny because I was thinking about it right now. I'm like, it's 7:30, and I'm like, I need to figure out how to not feel like I feel right now tomorrow.
And
well, I got to chill, which is really hard for me.
That's going to be tough.
So, well, I just got to chill in the afternoon, not grind it all day till I got to go to work.
Yeah, maybe lay off the chemicals in the garage.
Lay off the xylene. No chance, Dylan. I got to get those babies mounted and ready for my return from the Northeast.
Your quick return. Just be quick and out and back to Baltimore.
I got to fly my wife to a meeting on Saturday morning.
Are you serious?
In Prescott, yeah.
Are you going to land in the person's front yard?
Yeah. I've looked at it in Google Earth. It looks
take some measurements.
We're going to give it a shot.
Call the guy. Do you know what the stall mate is?
Yeah. Would you mind pacing off that the lawn on the next to the
my
office?
My bed liner tire wear might be an issue, so I don't know if there's any. Oh, brother. Well, we already talked about some reviews and comments we got from the show, some negative ones. We did get a couple more. Of course, if you want to leave us a review, positive or negative, we'll be happy to send you a sticker. Just shoot us an email with your mailing address, and I'll mail you some stickers for any reviews you leave on Apple or Spotify. Why don't you go ahead with the first one, Max?
Riz, as the kids say. Seriously, though, these guys are so much fun to listen to. Awesome personalities and very entertaining and informative. Will not be raw dogging any flights, as I will always have a 21.5 show episode or 2 downloaded to keep the time flying by. And that's from King Air Cowboy.
Love it. We did get another comment.
Who knew?
On the intro music. And this one is from Iberio 868. It says, expecting Snoop Dogg to start rapping on that new intro. So I think that's positive.
Yeah, we wish.
Because we said we wanted West Coast rap style, so I think mission accomplished. That's right. So thanks to anyone who left us a comment. You can leave them on YouTube as well. We'll read those. Not quite as often, but we do like to dig into those every once in a while. Yeah. All right, on to the mailbag. Lots to get to today. Of course, you know that the mailbag is brought to you by our friends at Advanced Aircrew Academy. Aircrewacademy.com is the website where you can check out all of their offerings. They have modules on just about every topic that your flight department needs education on. We talked about weather radar last week. There are training programs on runway excursions. ICAO issues. What did Dan wrote in and said there was like a radio phraseology module. It's a very passive aggressive way. You can just send that module over to somebody who needs to tune up their radio skills a little bit.
Is there a runway excursion module that is focused on the Honda Jet specifically?
Listen, we're still going after the big Honda Jet sponsorship. Be careful.
Drag shoot SBC.
Be careful. I'm looking through high altitude operations, human factors, and human trafficking. Those are the ones that start. There is actually so no Honda Jet ones yet, but maybe they're developing that one. We will see. Wow, yeah, some ones I would have never expected to see, but you'll be amazed by seeing all of the different modules they have. Just visit aircrewacademy.com. Thanks for their longtime partnership. All right, on to the emails.
Greetings from across the pond. Technically, as a burned out emergency medicine physician from the UK, I have no business listening to your podcast. However, as a mediocre private pilot, I get to enjoy living vicariously through your banter, imagining a different life where I'm a burned out, mediocre professional pilot. Anyhow, these appeared in a random flying WhatsApp group I'm in, and I thought of you guys. Thought you'd particularly like the influencer doll. Keep up the good work. AI generated photos. Yeah, that's from Nick. So,
do you remember these a couple weeks ago when everyone was making all the AI generated photos of all these different dolls? Somebody made an influencer one. Someone made a British Airways one, I think, with somebody got caught.
Yeah.
With some flight attendants, it looks like. Yeah, there's all sorts of them. So he passed those along. We actually made a couple of them ourselves and posted them all. And we posted the influencer one. So check our socials if you want to see that.
That was
classic. It's the AI image generation. It's just funny because these trends take hold and then people will just start creating all these images and they think they're all so funny. And then it'll go on for, a few days and then everyone will burn through that idea. And then the next idea will pop up. So maybe we'll go viral on one of our own original ideas soon. Next email says, I saw this in my news feed. A lawsuit has been filed over allegations of fraud at the United Flight School. And that's the Aviate flight school that is in Arizona, I think. And so that was about a month ago there. They said dozens of former flight students who say they racked up tens of thousands of dollars in debt for tuition are suing United Airlines and its flight school in the Arizona desert, saying it didn't have enough teachers or aircraft to properly train and graduate its students. Yeah, I mean, I would say I don't have the specifics of this school. That's always my concern. I think I've ranted about this before. I don't think I would ever go to a flight school that had brand new airplanes, especially I think these guys had Cirrus airplanes. It just seems like, man, that's a lot of money for something you don't really need, And I think they were kind of selling, and I'm not sure. I think there are flight schools that sell these packages, and they're very costly, but then they, offer the financing. And to me, that just makes me really nervous. When you, come to this program and take out a huge loan, I would be nervous to do that. And it sounds like they were unable to deliver on the instructor availability and everything else. And then you got these loans piling up, and it's scary. Yeah,
gotta be careful out there.
What's next?
Here's a great list of bars for the layover.
This is
North America's 50 best bars. He sent a link. Huh.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I'll have to post this in the show notes. Let's see. Quickly scan. Oh, there's one in Phoenix called Highball. Do you have that one? Have you been there?
Yeah. I've been there. These are all like cocktail bars too.
Kind of right up your alley.
Christianized overnight.
Yeah.
Go to get things started.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool.
We'll have to share that. Right. Herbs and Rye in Vegas. Yeah.
Hot wreck.
Thanks, Vince. All right. Hey, guys, wanted to write in to you for a few reasons. My instructor is a huge fan of yours, and I bought him a 21.5 hat and was hoping to get some stickers for him, too. He's a Gold Seal instructor and is headed for the airlines as we speak. He's top-notch. This is the guy you want as your instructor, and he's going to be an amazing commercial pilot. He's consistently turned out great students who really know what they are doing, and he invests so much into all of us. Not only is he incredibly knowledgeable, but he's humble and funny and pushes us all to be better than the regulations require. He embodies the attitude that it's more about than just passing the check ride. And I know that not every instructor is like this, so he's a big deal to us who got lucky to have him. He's who recommended your show to me, and know he'd just smile big time if he got a shout out. Since you just never know about privacy with these airlines, I won't share who he's about to go fly for, but his name is Brock. All right, shout out, Brock. Sounds like you're an awesome instructor. We're sad to lose you, but good luck in the airlines. All right. She goes on to say, I also wanted to thank you for representing a subset of pilots who are parents, helping us understand that this is completely possible. I'm a single mom to a 5-year-old son about to start at a local flight academy. I already have my private pilot's license and instrument ratings. I'm going to start at a local academy to finish out my training and hopefully instruct with the intention of going to the airlines, and I cannot wait. I'm fortunate enough to have a team behind me, my son's dad/dad's girlfriend, and my best friends who helped me so much with my son. So I know this isn't everyone's situation, but I'm really lucky that it's mine. I've already had a 15-year career prior to this, but never thought this would be possible. Brock is who encouraged me to really consider how possible this was. After a few gentle attempts on his part, as I am a stubborn woman, I realized he was right, and now I get to dive into an industry I'm passionate about. And with some luck, more quality time with my son instead of divided attention when I unpack 7 backpacks and lunch boxes, while also trying to unload the dishwasher and get us both fed so we can enjoy the elusive 20 minutes before bedtime. By the time that all this is done, you know the drill all too well. I try to walk most mornings in the park that my house is attached to, and I love to listen to your podcast while I do. It's the best way to start my day, and I'm so thankful for everyone. And I'm so thankful for everything you're putting out there for us. You're talking about everything we want to hear about, but might be too afraid to ask. Big heartfelt thank you for all that you do, guys. Keep it up. Sincerely, and that's from Katie.
Well, hopefully Katie has started to teach her young son about seniority, the way we have our children.
Seniority chores.
Yeah, seniority chores.
That is a great email, Katie. Good luck in your training, and thanks for buying your instructor a hat. Sounds like you got a good one there, and we're excited to hear how your career progresses. Keep us posted.
Gents, absolutely love the show. I find myself refreshing my podcast app excitedly each week in anticipation of the next episode. Perfect blend of humor and learning keeps me motivated and excited to find different flying opportunities. I wanted to comment on something you said, Max, in episode 162. You were talking about the changes happening at Southwest and how many people were complaining about them. It was refreshing to hear your perspective regarding the leadership decisions there, that you are going to keep doing what you do and hope and trust that they know what they're doing and will do what's best for the company. I'm fairly new pilot for a major after separating from the military, and I found myself often frustrated by the attitude and entitlement and constant complaining amongst the pilot group. We have such an awesome job and phenomenal benefits and quality of life, especially compared to the military. It was great to hear your attitude of professionalism and positivity. It gave me renewed motivation to keep being positive and not taking for granted how good we have it, and not to get anxious about what is happening outside of our control. Just keep having fun doing the job. Don't get stressed about the other noise. Thanks. Keep up the great work. And that is from Kyle. Well, how about that?
Got
keep
to.
It positive, baby.
I like that.
That's all you can do.
I think that's the hardest part about being at the airlines is being stuck around negative people. In my opinion.
Yeah, that's true. And I haven't had any. And plus, see, the thing about that too is like it's the negative people that then feed into each other, you know, and they get all worked up. So it's like, I guess some people that are like negative, and then I'm just like, dude, like, I don't really play into it, so it doesn't usually last very long.
Dude, chill as you connect the Bluetooth to your Bose.
Pro
flights. Relax, bro. Yeah, it's tough though, man. When they just start feeding off each other, and it's just, it's tough. Do not miss that part. Okay, that's going to do it for the mailbag. Thanks to Advanced Aircrew Academy for their longtime partnership in bringing all of the listener comments to us. And of course, thanks to the listeners. If you want to get involved in the conversation, you know what to do. Shoot us an email, info@215podcast.com. Okay. Double flight advice today, Max. A 2-for-1. Yeah.
Double flight advice?
We're actually fairly caught up at this point, I would say. If you in the past have written in for flight advice and you've been discouraged because it's taken us a while to get to it, I think we have moved through the backlog. So if I missed your flight advice, shoot me an email and let me know. Because from what I can see, we're up to date. So if you're dying for something and you were waiting for us to say something, and we might have missed it, but
are you saying that we've addressed every
not
100%?
Some of them are just not really workable. But every one that I feel like we could answer, we have. Right. Remember 117 of them so far. Isn't that crazy?
Are you kidding me? Really?
So it's pretty impressive. And flight advice, of course, is made possible by our friends at Harvey Watt. If you check out harveywatt.com, you can find all of the offerings they have for professional pilots. You know what I have? A big, beautiful...
It's a beautiful life insurance policy. It's great. Everybody I know says it's the best policy there is for pilots. There's almost no exclusions. Believe me.
Just got that one topped up. So they do more than just the loss of medical there. And it is a great service for pilots. HarveyWatt.com. Check out all the offerings they have for pilots around the globe. All right. Flight advice number 1, Max. I'm going to ERAU, shout out, currently, and I'm really debating whether to transfer to a state school and study something different that I'm passionate about, such as business administration or accounting. You're passionate about those? Okay. It says IK boring stuff. And fly Part 61 or continue here and see what I can do with this degree. I'm a freshman in only my second semester, so I still have options. Just want to know some advice on the matter. For context, the money isn't the issue, but it's more so whether I should pursue a degree in something else as a backup rather than putting all my cards on the deck with this degree. Any advice would be helpful.
Well, I'm assuming he's in the aviation program at Embry-Riddle, like the whole degree program. But, that's what we did. And so it's hard to say you're not doing the right thing, but because I had a great time and I thought I got a very good aviation education, to be, frank. But all of that being said, if it were one of my children that wanted to go to college to quote unquote be a pilot, I do not think I would send them in that direction. Because as you say, you're putting all of your eggs in one basket, and it's kind of like your grandma's old like wicker Easter basket that like the bottom might just fall out of at any time, and you don't really know and you can't really predict it. So it might work out if you use that basket, or it might, all your eggs might fall out and break on the ground. So it is, I would say, it probably would have been best if you started at the state school and found a suitable aviation program, and that doesn't mean it has to be Part 61 or whatever, but some sort of good aviation education in your flying studies. And then also, especially if you're passionate about business administration or accounting, which I think it would be hard pressed to find many pilots that are passionate about that. So I think that's actually a positive that you are passionate about something else other than flying airplanes. Because for me, that's all I wanted to do. Like, it's easy for me to say, oh yeah, go get an accounting degree. But if I told my, 18-year-old self that, I would have been like, no way. So, but yeah, man, I mean, diversity, having as many tools as you can in your toolbox, and having a backup plan, because you're one, metal shard in your eye away from needing to find something else to do, or, car accident, or who knows what, or just, the many reasons you can find yourself without an airplane to fly.
I don't disagree with any of this. So I'll just play devil's advocate on this, just so that we can get a different opinion. And saying I disagree with anything you said. Right.
You're not saying you're the devil,
Exactly.
but you're just advocating.
All right.
Got it.
I'm going to make an assumption. You said the money is not an issue. Okay, so I'm assuming that you're not going into debt. Two, I'm going to assume that you are passionate about aviation, which I'm not sure you are. But if you are, and you're at Embry-Riddle, and you're enjoying yourself, I don't necessarily think it's and you can afford it, I don't necessarily think it's a bad move. If you leverage the value that you get from Embry-Riddle, and this is the huge value, and this is what Max and I did, we enjoyed our time there, and we made a lot of friends there. And if you like aviation and you think you're going to be in it, there are some huge benefits, not so much to the degree, the piece of paper, but the experience of being there for 4 years and then maybe instructing there for a couple more years. If you do it right there, you're going to leave that school with an unbeatable network that you are not going to be able to duplicate at any state school. Now, that's not every Embry-Riddle student is going to be able to achieve that. But all of our friends who have found a lot of success in this industry, a lot of it came from the people that they went to school with, the connections that they made, and going through that process with everybody else. Would you disagree with any of that?
No, I think those are really good points. And to expand on that too, you could still go after you graduate and, maybe when you, depending on what kind of job you have, maybe not while you're flight instructing, but after that, or you could go to flight instruct at a university. Some of those will allow you to get tuition for free, a certain amount as an employee of the, if you can find a deal like that. But also, there's nothing to preclude you from getting an accounting degree later or a BA or whatever. Always keep learning, keep expanding your horizons and adding more tools to that tool bag.
And that was my second point.
Either way,
it doesn't really sound like you have a real like a great backup in mind. Like you're more thinking about I should diversify for the sake of diversifying, but not because like I have a direction that I'm super passionate in. I think they were tongue in cheek when they were saying passionate about accounting. What would honestly worry me right now would be going to a state school and picking some random degree just so that I think I'm going to be diversified when I don't know what the workplace is going to look like in 15 years. So the degree for the sake of the diversity might not really be worth your time then. And the other thing I'd say is if you really are worried about diversifying degrees, this being a professional pilot gives you an extreme amount of downtime where you could work on that later on. Where you actually maybe know. Because here's the thing, and it's hard. I'm gonna make an assumption that you're probably between 18 and 20 years old. Going to college then is like, don't you think now, Max, we would get way more out of the classes in college now, being older? You're like, God, if I went back to, I would, in some of the classes.
Maybe.
So I'm just saying,
it's different when you're like when you're focused, you really know what you want to do, where it's like, if you go to college just for the sake of going to college, then it is.
You're just, so I don't know. I just, to me, it's like, man, I think you could diversify later on in the career. I don't think it's like, whoa, if I don't diversify now, I'm screwed.
Yeah. I think there's multiple ways to skin this cat, but I think if you stay with the mindset of finding something, learning another skill, and
news alert, what are the what's the percentage of people that actually use their undergraduate degree for their job? It's pretty minimal, right? And there's a lot of great jobs that people make a lot of great money as pilots that are diversified that don't require a degree, right? Real estate agent, mortgage, investor, etc. So just some food for thought. Dead horse has been
All right.
beaten.
Moving on.
Okay, we're going to do a double flight advice. Good evening. I just got let go from my 135 job flying a Citation. No issues, no trips to HR or the chief pilot's office ever. No issues with any other pilots, no violations, etc. I just got terminated out of the blue for poor performance with zero explanation. And they want me to pay back my training contract. And then they go on to say current type ratings in the G4SP and Citation 525. And that's it. That's all the information we have to go on.
Man, I mean, if that is truly all the information, seems very unfair. But I can't imagine that's it. But that's all we got. So let's go with it. Boy, I can't imagine for getting terminated for poor performance with no explanation, with no warnings, with no, anything else. And then being asked to pay back your training contract like that doesn't seem very realistic at all. This I want follow up on. I want to hear what happens here, but I would just be like, no, you can't let me go and give me no reason and then want me to pay back my training contract.
Yeah. This is either the shadiest 135 South Florida operator, or there's more to the story here that we're not getting. I would say number one, your first step here is you need to go read your training contract if you've got one, and take a look at it. And
normally when those say, they'll have a clause in there being about something about being terminated with cause.
Yeah,
which would mean not laid off. But in this, apparently your poor performance is cause. But it's pretty shaky.
How much is the training contract? What are they actually going to go after? Like, how have they served you with some type of legal notice? Did you take the payment out in your name to pay for training? And so, they just stop paying it. Like, there's a lot of questions we don't know, so it's tough. But that you may have to get a labor attorney involved. And the other thing too, is we don't know what state this is in either, although I have a pretty strong guess. So is it a right to work state? Like, there's a lot of questions we don't know the answers to, but in general, this may take an attorney to help. But I've also heard of a lot of pilots that get, they ask them to pay for a training contract, and then they say, no, I'm not going to do it. And that's the last thing, that's kind of the end of it, because a lot of places, they're just not that enforceable.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we are going to have an attorney on the show, an aviation attorney soon. We're going to definitely put that question on the list, though.
Yeah. Here's what I would say you really need to do besides this training contract is you need to start thinking about how you're going to address this in future job interviews. Because I think if you're terminated from a 135, that's going to show up, right? In the pilot record database search, potentially. So this is the step one would be called the employment attorney. Step two is going to probably be to call James here, because you may have some paperwork following you now, and you may not. I don't know, but you're going to want to know this before you start applying to your next jobs. That's going to be key, because you're going to have to answer what happened here, and so you better have a good foundation, one, understanding, and two, being able to talk about it and own it, even if it's not fair to you what it is. So I don't know. I wish I could get better advice on this one, Max.
Yeah, it's obviously very tough, but I would like to hear back and see what happens.
Yeah. Oh, I did look in here. Yeah, it is Florida.
Good luck, Airman.
Not surprised. Yeah, good luck. Wish we could do more. Shoot us another email if you want any more anonymous, and we can run this through by the attorney we're going to talk to. All right, that's going to do it, Max. I hopefully we were helpful today in flight advice. I was trying, but both kind of tough ones. Yeah.
Oh, listen, some of them are
we
tough.
Can't always guarantee we're going to have the answer, but we'll give you some perspective. And that's all we can do.
Do our best.
117 of these. We've tried our best. All right. That's going to do it for Flight Advice with sponsored by Eagle Careers and Harvey Watt. Anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up? Kind of a quick show this week, but we just had to get it out quick.
Yeah. That's the way the cookie crumbles. No, man, I'm good. That's all I got. I'm going to go to work and conjure up some more...
Will you bring your meta glasses on your next trip? So we're both going to the East Coast later this week. It'd be funny to compare. Maybe we'll get some perspective of how bad it gets from both perspectives.
Sounds good.
Max walking into his hotel room with two double beds, and me scraping the tires off, and this sucks. So, all right. Well, thanks to all of our sponsors: Timothy P. Pope, Harvey Watt, Advanced Aircrew Academy, Veris Jet Sales, the AirComp Calculator, Pro Pilot World, and the Amigo Aerotow folks. Appreciate all of their support. And of course, thanks to the listeners. Appreciate all the emails, reviews, flight advice, everything that makes this show possible. One last question for you, Max. I was curious, when are we going to do the next book club? Are we taking, what's your thoughts on this? Are we taking the summer off, or are we getting going pretty soon, or what are we going to do?
The book club. I don't know. I'm going to have to let's give some thought to that, because the book club, I don't know. We put it out to the people.
Yeah, a couple people did. Remember in the last episode,
club?
Some folks wrote in and they even give us some different book options. What if you secretly prepped with Reginald Sage before every episode and said, "Look, give me the cliff notes. I need 6 things to say about chapter 4."
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm down. If people want to do a book club, I'll do a book club. I wish I would knew what the percentage of engagement was.
Okay.
You know?
Well, we'll maybe we just have Reggie do the book club. Have him do the segment, and then we'll just pop back in and pretend oh yeah, we were all in this conversation together. Great. Go ahead and summarize chapter 3 for us. All right. Well, that is going to do it. Until next week, Max. Remember, flexibility is the key to air power. All right.
We'll see you next time.
The statements made in this show are our own opinions and do not reflect, nor were they under any direction from any of our employers.